The most fundamental rule of international law is the protection of the territorial sovereignty of each nation. No nation may invade or occupy or harm the territory of another nation. Costa Rica and Nicaragua are neighbours in Central America. Around 2010, Nicaragua decided to develop a canal between the San Juan River and a bay on the coastline known as Horsehead Lagoon. In order to develop this canal, Nicaragua occupied Costa Rican territory, including by the presence of armed military personnel. Costa Rica complained to the International Court of Justice and sought the removal of Nicaraguan personnel, but also compensation for the harm caused by Nicaragua to Costa Rican territory. The court found that Nicaragua had unlawfully occupied Costa Rican territory and that compensation was payable. The two nations were asked to negotiate appropriate compensation, but they were unable to do so, and they returned to the court for judgment. The court found that damage to the environment and the consequent impairment or loss of the ability of the environment to provide goods and services is compensable under international law. Such compensation may include indemnification for the impairment or loss of environmental goods and services in the period prior to recovery, and payment for the restoration of the damaged environment. Payment for restoration accounts for the fact that natural recovery may not always suffice to return an environment to the state in which it was before the damage occurred. In such instances, active restoration measures may be required in order to return the environment to its prior condition insofar as that is possible. The difficulty is how one can possibly calculate, in economic terms, the loss of the environmental goods and services when those goods and services include things like fresh air, healthy wetlands, and protection from climate change. The court acknowledged that there are a number of potential methodologies for making this assessment and that none are particularly effective. Even accepting this, the number which the court arrived at was surprisingly low. The court determined that the environmental services provided by the area which was harmed by the activities of Nicaragua was worth just $120,000. So from this case, we take the positive development that environmental harm is clearly harm that can provide a basis for damages, but it's also clear that further work is required to produce a sensible methodology for the assessment of damages.